Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 10th day of December, 2019. Well, today's my husband's 66th birthday, so I'm not sure what we're doing for that. Right now, he's watching stuff on impeachment, so I don't know. He got his birthday wish, so impeachment articles have been filed, so that's going to be interesting. A day of new beginnings, a one energy. So I guess so. Well, I didn't get the correspondence's post up yet today. I have to do that after I do this. I was working on adding some affiliates to the website. I started a new affiliate page, and I wrote different introductions to the companies that I'm going to represent. Most of them are going to be down here below the video. There's a couple I still need to add. This is all new for me. Mostly I was just an Amazon affiliate. Now they're yelling at me and saying, "Oh, you haven't added anything to your site. I'm going to take it away." It's like, okay, I don't know. They want you to work for them, but it's you don't make what you think. So I don't know what to do. I guess I'll just go and add more things to my Amazon influencer storefront today and start tweeting the bejesus out of it or something. I don't know. I've been adding it to my blog, more to my blog. I've been tweeting it out. I don't know. I don't know if it's an algorithm that if certain things don't happen, I don't know what that is. So I'm not really sure what I have to do. And I don't know. I have other things to do too. So I'm just going to take and establish a certain number of minutes out of each day to devote to each one. I still have to organize all that, and we'll do what we do, I guess. Anyway, so if you want to check those affiliate information, there's some interesting ones. I mean, there's some herbal stuff on there, and there's a cannabis training university on there, and a lot of herb stuff though that I got associated with, and so you might like what you see. There's one primal herb which is really an interesting site. They do a lot of mushroom stuff, and I love that. I do too. And so some of this stuff reflects kind of what I do in my own herbal work. So I've grown a lot of mushrooms. I've grown reishi and turkey tail and, oh gosh, just all kinds of things. Shiitake, different oysters. I have oysters growing outside. They just come up in the cottonwood all the time. So, but I've done a lot of different ones, and it's a lot of fun. If you've never done it, if you've never gotten a mushroom patch, you can just grow them in your kitchen. You don't have to make a big deal and do it outside. And it's just fun to watch them. I've grown them. They're kind of neat. I had them in the cannabis grow room, but we grow outside now that we're legal recreationally here in the state. I never did when I was when we just had the patient thing. We just did that inside. I don't know. I felt kind of uncomfortable, but now that it's, we're legal recreationally, nobody says anything. So I just thought, well, so we don't really do that so much inside other than to start, plants for the following summer, which sort of takes me away from having the raw cannabis leaf that I'm used to having in my smoothies. So I don't know. I may go ahead and start a couple of plants and just to be able to butcher for smoothies. I won't let them, get big or anything. I'll just keep taking leaf off. And then when I'm done, I'll give it to the chickens. Eventually you start doing that, and the leaf gets to be really small, and it's just not very useful for smoothies. You're having to take, fistfuls, and, really you just need like 4 or 5 fan leaves to add to your smoothie to get yourself some of the raw cannabis acids, the plant acids that are still there. So instead of THC, you'd have THCA. So you'd see an A at the end of the molecule, basically, the designation. So you get a lot of when you're still dealing with, raw leaf and raw bud, and you're ingesting it in smoothies or juices or what have you. You're getting all of the healthy plant acids that you don't get when they're cannabis is dried. But what you also don't get is the psychoactive effect. So if you're wanting to heal using cannabis, if you're in a legal state to do that, because that does matter, unfortunately, if you're in a legal state, what you might consider doing while your plants are growing, if this is new for you, is to harvest the bigger fan leaves. Once you'll see, they change the stem structure on them, gets a little darker, they're real big, and, they sort of stick out. They're not, the other leaves haven't caught up with them yet, Well, if you've got enough leaf growth, you can break those off and just add them to your smoothies and see. Or wad them up with some other leafy things that you're juicing. Either way, you might be surprised at the impact on your health. I was, and that's why I still do it. I mean, I've been a cannabis patient since 2010, and I still remain so because I was so ill that I'm kind of afraid not to, I don't want to see any imbalances come back. I don't need to have severe rheumatoid arthritis. That was horrible. So I don't know. But I think that raw cannabis leaf and bud. Now the bud's going to be a little more pungent, and that might affect the taste of things. So you might not want to do that. I don't. I might put a little popcorn bud in it, but I don't usually use it. I just use leaf. And there's enough trichomes on the leaves that you're getting a lot of medicine there, and a lot of healing can take place. So, healing without the high, I guess. I don't know. I think it's worth a shot, certainly to try while your plants are growing, before you harvest them and get ready to make medicine and all of that. But it would give you something along the way that is incredibly healing to try. So I recommend that. That's my recommendation of the day. So maybe I'll start doing one of those. What does she recommend today? Anyway. So I'll get the correspondences posts up, and do check out the affiliate posts online that I did. I have an affiliates tab on the blog over at imsteppingaside.com. Lots of good information in there. I promise not to junk up my website with a bunch of weird ads. So we'll see how it goes. But in any event, Sun is still in the 12th house of Sagittarius, so self-reflection today. I think it is. Let me double check that. Did I even do that one? Let me be sure on that. Yep. No, I guess I did. Well, I get going with it, and sometimes I think, oh, God, did I skip over that? Because it just doesn't sound right, But if it was the same as it was yesterday, I didn't change it, so that's probably what it is. But the moon did change, and we're in Gemini in the 5th house today, so ideas are going to come easily. It's also a day for play. But there's moon's opposing Mercury, so we're going to want to think before we speak today. And so, sometimes that gets away from us. Mercury is in 11th house of Sagittarius. Expand your worldview with friends and groups. Venus is still in Capricorn in the 1st house, but conjunct Saturn, which it was yesterday. I didn't talk so much about that yesterday, though. There were some other things going on, but it would have certainly blended with what was going on. But when Saturn comes into effect, and with Venus, you're talking about maybe reevaluating your relationships. And typically, you could also experience someone from your past coming into your life, reemerging. You want to, and if that happens, sometimes, like it's a past love or something like that, it can really disturb your current life. So try to keep that in perspective if something like that should happen today. These moments aren't necessarily to where you run into somebody. They're not necessarily there to reconnect. On anything more than just a hi, how you been level. So try not to, Sagittarians tend to get into a flow. And so just make sure it's your own that reflects your own life instead of, one that involves other people in a way that might threaten that. So you just want to be careful there. Again, moon opposing Mercury, think before speaking, and maybe you'll be okay. So Mars is Scorpio in the 10th house still. So again, catalytic energy at work. Again, moon opposing Mercury. You're going to want to be careful again because you could end up, speaking before thinking and affecting your relationships at work. So In any event, I think that's probably it there. Let's go ahead and get started. And we'll go ahead and we'll take I don't think I want to say anything more about the day's numerology, just that it's new beginnings and a wholeness and unity. That's another thing that's about the one. Sometimes it's almost like when the one energy comes about, it's not that you're just about on the precipice of starting something new. It's that everything is sort of coming into focus for you as well. So you might actually have, even though there's some self-reflection going on, with the sun in the 12th house in Sagittarius, I just think that it's again, you're going to want to make sure you have the whole picture in mind today before beginning something new. Sort of have it all laid out in your mind, and make sure that you are using your flow, not someone else's, to establish what that is. So let's go ahead and take the first 3 cards and see what we have for today. And as always, I take the 13th card just for randomness sake. I was born on the 13th, and no, not on a Friday. It was a Sunday. So we have a Friday the 13th this week. Also a 12/12 gate on Thursday that's opening. Again, it's the second of 2 gates this month, and so very cool. But anyway, we have the Ace of Pentacles to start us out. So again, new beginnings aligning with our day's energy of 1, or numerology of 1. Pentacles deals with the earth or material side of self. So something on the horizon there regarding our foundation. I don't know if it's the impeachment articles that's going to affect everyone, or if they're not. I don't know. We'll see. Tensions have been so high over the last few years between everyone. So we'll see. Maybe it'll just sort of, get everybody to focus on one thing instead of all the scattered feeling that's been going on. I don't know. This just could be that you've got maybe something new. We've been seeing some stuff astrologically where maybe you were, like last week, where you were maybe thinking about taking a new position at your current job, or maybe you were exploring something new. So maybe something positive happened in that front, and now you've got something new beginning, income-wise with that. Here we're coming together in intentional harmony with somebody else with the 4 of Wands. Wands is the fire energy. So again, a new integrative approach with others maybe that affects your material security, the material side of self. 5, we got a 5 energy so far going, so that's change. So something's going to change here today, but it's going to be reflective of a balanced polarity within everyone as we come together with intention maybe. You're getting away from me. There we go. It's not as easy to take the 13th card as you might think, especially when my hands don't work too well in the morning. So we have the 8 of Wands, swift energy, lots of things coming in on us. So I think what we'll do, we'll make the Ace of Pentacles the focal point, or the outcome maybe. It just sort of depends on, Bruce sees all UFOs parked on the lunar surface, plus the moon captured December 8th. Oh, cool. Crazy magnification begins, he says. So I like his YouTube channel. He gets really cool pictures of whatever, and whoever's on the moon at the moment. Because it's hollow and it was towed here. It doesn't spin. Right? So that ought to tell you it's not a normal planetary moon, right? Might be functioning as one, but it's a different kind of thing up there. I think anyway. But let's go ahead and so we've got 8 and 5 is 13. So 4, again, issues of structure or foundation or material security today. new beginnings with the one energy. So something new on the horizon there in terms of relationships and maybe family structure is changing again. I don't know. Lots of times our family, especially these days, if for some reason, oh gosh, who was I listening to? Oh, I can't think of it who it was, but it's somebody. It's somebody that people know. It's a woman, and she was talking about she's got one kid. She and her husband and one of their kids are liberal and are Democrats, but the other child, who's, oh Lord, is maybe college age, is not. And so it makes for a really interesting family dynamic. And I remember when she shared it, it's like everybody's like, what? So, I mean, you don't have that usually happen in families, but these days, kids, I mean, we didn't raise our children that way. We raised our children to think independently of us, although, we made the final decisions and everything. They had a voice in what they did, but don't think we were their friends. We weren't. We were their parents. We didn't get confused that way. Others in my generation, and maybe in the generation below me, they were getting confused during the time our kids were growing up, and they were confused about what their role should be, that maybe they should be a pal, maybe they should be a friend. Well, no, you don't ever want to do that. You need to keep those boundaries very clearly delineated between you and your kids. You're not their friend. They're your children, and you have a responsibility for them. So that dynamic was clear. But at the same time, there would have been room, although it would have been anathema for sure, for a conservative child to develop. I mean, it could happen in our family, in other words. I don't think it has, but it could, right? Because it's important that children grow up that way, that they know that yes, you're part of this family. Yes, I'm your parents. We're your parents, but you're still you, and you're going to develop into who you want to develop into. So I don't know. So maybe all of that sort of laid the foundation for that type of dynamic to happen now in a family. It's just you would hope that you could all be on the same page about this one, right? Anyway, but let's take a look at this again in the yod fashion that we've been doing. And we'll go ahead and we'll have the Ace of Pentacles again, something new on the horizon. You see the pathway going through the archway there that's covered in greenery. So we're talking abundance. So whatever is coming forward today, it's going to be something positive, something that increases your material security, something about the foundation of your life. You see the recurrent theme of a hand reaching out from the unknown, basically holding a large coin in offering a new direction. You can see the mountains through the archway. You can see the mountains right there. There's that delineation between your current life and the challenging one to come, or the challenges maybe that lay ahead, or conversely, the challenges that you've left behind, and now you have something, incredible starting. You see the energy radiating from around you can see it from the bottom part, really, not so much there on the top. So lots of power today with the Ace of Pentacles. Your aces are the strongest cards oftentimes in the minor arcana, because they're said to contain all energies of the entire suit, right? But it isn't just, they're not just, they don't just involve one single element, right? You're going to look at cards and you're going to see lots of other things. Here you see the fire element implied, you see a direction, so that could be air, so there's lots of different, the clouds could be, mystery, it could be it could be the water element and intuition, for example. So they're all there, right? It's just that there's a dominant focus of each suit. And in this case, it's Pentacles. So we're just going to be talking then about how all this is going to affect our personal life and our structure and our foundation. So we have some change happening today. We have swift action with the 8. 8 is double the number of the 4. There's harmony in both cards. but there is intention as well. When you see an amplification of a number, then you're going to look at this one being the dominant influence, because we essentially have a 1-4-8 pattern here. So we're basically increasing by 4s. So that tells me that this is really about our own personal material structure and security and foundation today. Home and hearth. So how is that changing? Lots of things coming in. Don't know if that's happening first or second. It could be the overarching energy about it, maybe. But there's a level of harmony, even though you have a straggler there, yeah, amongst the spheres. But here, you see another archway, like you do in the ace, only this is an archway into a new life. Same with the other, maybe. We see the cross garlands above, reminiscent of Gebo, the 7th rune of the Elder Futhark, or balanced energy exchange with others. You see 2 poles on each side of the couple who are holding their bouquets high, and there's only 3 bouquets being held high. So you're looking at a mind, body, spirit balance between the two. You look at intentional harmony, intentional bonding, but with both sides in their polarity is balanced within. So in other words, they're coming together with an intentional harmony with someone else, and things are looking pretty good for them, right? You see their friends in the background, the castle and the rising up behind there on the other side of that bridge, the bridge that's the arching bridge, the arched bridge, I should say. And it looks like there's 3 arches underneath, again reinforcing the idea of a mind, body, spirit balance. Part of Pentacles also, though, is protection, and with the 8 of Wands, we're going to protect what we've done. I think whatever harmony that we've come into here, whatever intentional harmony that we've achieved with other people or with someone else, we're going to do what we have to do to protect that. Now, if you wanted to, you could put that first, but I don't think so. I think that whatever harmony, whatever truth, whatever wisdom, whatever is going to happen here that's going to affect and support our new way forward together, it's going to be energetic. Lots of things are going to happen at once, but we need to stand firm and stand in our own power collectively, and stand up for what's right, and stand up for a different way forward, maybe. So I think that, in a sense, we have something new here that's beginning. It's based on harmony with other people. So new information has obviously come out, and we're willing to consider all of it and take a new direction together, one that's with balanced polarity instead of having everything being chaotic all the time. And then we're willing to do what we have to do to protect that truth. We're going to stand tall, we're going to stand strong, we're going to stand together. And that's part of the 8. Let's look at the 4 here. Society, harmony, balance, rest, refuge, balanced energy exchange. And really, in a sense, you have a protective sense because the 4 poles, or the 4 wands, the four staffs, if you will, they represent the framework of the new structure that we have, the new agreement that we have, the new unity that we have. If it were the 4 of Pentacles, you would see a more structured foundation, That's what you would see. But you're going to see the same thing with, the 4 is kind of a weird number. You've got the 4 of Swords, which is typically respite from one's thoughts, The Four of Cups is often not being able to see what's in front of you. You have kind of a lost focus, maybe sort of a pity party there. But when you get to the Ace of Pentacles, you know, things are starting to come into I don't know, fruition maybe, or something new is about to happen in your own personal life that's going to maybe bring a little more security to it, or at least foster a different direction that could take you there. Obviously, anything can happen along the way, but it's the foundation that we set, the foundation that we create, that theoretically, if we, you know, move along that path in a wise fashion, we generally, you know, do well. You know, we generally meet our needs and all of that, have the resources that we need to meet our needs. But when you start to go into balanced energy exchange with others here with the Four, you're adding somebody else into that mix. And so, I mean, you just never know, do you? You know, if polarity is imbalanced in one, maybe they have trouble managing money. And so maybe your security, you know, your future isn't as secure as you might think, you know, with this new, this new balanced energy exchange with somebody, whether it's a marriage or a partnership at work or whatever it is, you know. The notion that you're going to come together for a broader purpose is really inherent in the Four, and it has to do with the structure and foundation of our lives. But it doesn't mean that along the way you're not going to have to protect it. Let's do a rune. We're doing pretty well on time here. Let the runes fall through my fingers and get the last one that's left. Well, Dagaz, 23rd rune of the Elder Futhark. I'm going to draw this one out for you. It's about a new day, new beginnings. This could have more of a societal type of implication, but not necessarily. No, let's not use that one. Let's use this one. Got to be able to see it. The thing about Dagaz, and this is not my interpretation. Well, okay, this one isn't going to work. Try this one. Well, there we go. So here we have Dagaz. Now, the issue with Dagaz, you see the center point? One of the interpretations I found is its energy at its saturation point becomes its opposite. Did I do that right? Energy at its saturation point becomes its opposite. You see the flow there? I just thought that was so cool. We have the most obvious one, we have Gebo. There's your X, which is the same as we have here. In fact, if you were to turn this way, you really would have Gebo, or you would have Dagaz here. This is a new day. I mean, you really would, because you see the poles on each side, right? So if you were to turn it upside down like that, you would have the Four of Wands. But you've got the balanced energy exchange of Gebo in the center. You have Isa on either side, freezing things into place. The Norn rune of the static realm. It's also the 11th rune of the Elder Futhark, so enlightenment. It's the master number 11. But you also have Kenaz in all directions, and I'll show you that. And Kenaz is a fire rune, and it's about the torch or the light of spirit within. But here we're manifesting it in all directions, aren't we? So whatever we do here today, the decision is made wisely from a standpoint of spirit versus one of ego. Even with the 8, the 8 is a number for leadership and practicality and responsibility. We have a responsibility to maintain this new balanced energy exchange with other people that we're now embarking on. Dagaz, though, makes it feel like this is a huge deal. So whatever alliances that we are forming right now, or forging perhaps with others, um, we need to do whatever is necessary to maintain that, because it does lead to the promise of a new day. It's almost like one type of experience is ending and a new one is beginning. So if that initial experience was one of conflict or disarray or disunification or what have you, dissension, division, all of that, perhaps we're now moving into an area where we're starting to come together a little bit. Um, it feels like it's a greater thing given what happened today with the introduction of impeachment articles. I suspect that this is likely that, but it can also play out in our personal lives. So perhaps there's one phase ending and a new one beginning. For my husband, obviously, it's his birthday. So, some people let those things pass, especially when you get to be in your 60s like we are, and you don't really want to focus on that too much, right? But on the other hand, it still does indicate a milestone has passed. And Degas could be, thought of as the birthday rune in that respect, because you've completed 1 year and now you're embarking into the next. So let's see what the geomancy runes have to say. And of course, I don't have where is my, nope, I don't have my magnifying glass. So I'm going to have to try to do this without seeing very well. Which one is this? Okay, this is Earth, so I'm going to put that down there. Oh, we have a Missio again, the same as what we had yesterday. I just should have kept that one up there, shouldn't I? So what did I do with that good pen I was using? Well, I'm going to use this one. So this was a Missio, and it's about loss. But again, what are you losing? Yesterday it seemed like what we were losing was, ego death, really. And sort of folding into new awareness, basically, with this portal energy or this gateway energy this month. I was going to talk about this on Thursday, but I can talk about it now. Having the 333 gateway on the 3rd of December, and how I achieved that, how I got to that, just so you know how to do numerology. It's very simple. Numerology is about reduction. The only ones that we don't reduce are the master numbers, so the 11, the 22, the 33. We don't reduce those, and sometimes I don't reduce 13. I sort of consider that to be the master witch number, but that's just me. It's not contained within anything else, but it just reminds me of the whole Hagalaz experience and all of that. But anyway, we'll talk about that another time. But the thing about the gateways this month, it's one thing when you have just one. You're talking about like energies that come together and amplify one another. We saw that here with the 4 and the 8. The 8 amplifying the 4. Now, if it was a set of 3 4s here, then you would see a real amplification here. You would see a 4 4 4 pattern. But the thing about numerology, and it's a very simple thing to do. Today is the 10th. 1 and 0 equals 1. So you have a 1 numerology. Tomorrow will be the 11th. You won't reduce that one again because it's a master number for illumination. But the next day is a 12, and we're going to leave that as a 12-12 gateway because it's December 12th, 12-12, right? You could also reduce that to 3-3. 2 and 1 is 3, right? And then you'll have a 3 for the year. 2019 reduces to 3. You add 2019 together and it reduces to 3. You just keep adding, right? Until you end up with a single number or a master number. But generally speaking, the master number is just there on its own, when it's truly there. But what you have, you essentially had a 333 portal on the 3rd, and you have another one on Thursday. Whether it was 12-3, 2019, you still can reduce it to 3-3-3. But when you have a dual one, 12-12, you want to look at that separately. So if you look at that separately, that reduces to 33, doesn't it? Or Christ consciousness. The energetic effect of all of this happening at a time in our lives where massive things are going on in our country, in the world. It's also trickled down into our own personal lives to where there's so much conflict now sometimes things have changed. I've talked about this a lot, where I can't even go to some grocery stores because some of the men there now that are there in the store that are shopping are so volatile and so intrusive. I have a local store that I still go to. I had a guy, my husband and I were there, literally following me and trying to talk to me. I don't know the guy. It's like the boundaries have changed to the point that it's almost scary. Well, it is scary at times. My favorite store in town, I don't go to anymore because I was terrified one day, well, twice actually, but on one particular day, the last time that I was there, by a guy who I simply said, hey, can you move your stuff up so I can put this on there on the conveyor belt? He didn't look at me. He began shaking, like he's going to do something, and he had a bad look on his face. My husband hadn't noticed, and I turned around to him, and I guess I had a look on my face, and he looked, and he's like, uh-oh. Well, nothing happened, but why did he do that? Why did he try to scare me just because I wanted him to move his stuff up? I wasn't nasty. I was nice. I was friendly. I was almost laughing, but he chose to react that way. Why is this happening? Well, I think we know why it's happening. So I think that if we're going to talk about a missio, we're going to talk about the loss of something. In order to come together in balanced energy exchange with others, we've got to lose the ego, right? Whatever this ego inflation that we're experiencing collectively here, it's not helping the situation. It's interfering with any way forward, with any new route we might take into something more peaceful and secure and to make our lives better. Being at odds, whether within or without, with others, is not the way forward. And so I suspect that this energetic stuff going on here in December this year, we're sort of ending the year in a manner where we can begin something new, where something more secure can take hold. So we'll talk again about this on Thursday during the 12-12 Gateway, but pay attention to the numerology as we go on. If you start to see, next year, we could think of it as a 4-year, but 2020, if you take the zeros out, you've got a 22, and that's the cosmic builder. That's the most powerful number we have because it's cosmic manifestation. So think about it. Last year was an 11-year illumination. This year is a year for manifestation. It's a 3. Mind, body, spirit, and balance. Things coming into focus for us. And then next year, what are we going to build from it? Are we going to build more disunity and sow more chaos? Or are we going to come together in shared purpose? And with the cosmic builder energy, it could go either way, but life tends to bend towards spirit, so I suspect that it won't. I suspect that we're going to start to see things coming together. We're going to have a presidential election, which hopefully will not end up the same way it did last time. Hopefully we'll have something, something that's better that we can actually build on instead of watching everything being destroyed before our very eyes, left with only that which will enrich the guy in the Oval Office. It's not helping the average person. So Again, you can see where we're reaching this point, and maybe this month is the pivotal moment for that, particularly with two gateways happening. So I don't know. We also, I think is there a solar eclipse or something on is it the 25th on Christmas? I think there's something happening then too. So I don't know. I think maybe something is gelling right now this month, and I think made possible or solidified maybe by the two gateways. I don't know, but something feels regenerative about this month in a way that just hasn't before. So in any event, think about that. We're almost at about, well, we are 40 minutes. So in any event, that's too long. So we'll see you tomorrow. I just had some things I needed to talk about here and let you know about, but be thinking about this, and we'll talk again tomorrow and see where we are. Let's just sort of keep note of, again, this energy flow for this week, moving into the portal opening on Thursday. And just keep all of this in mind. A change in the structure, a change maybe in preservation of who we are together with one another, instead of trying to, vie for position here about who's right and who's wrong. It's not about that anymore. It's about how we come together in shared purpose and move on from all of it. So in any event, let's go ahead and check out the blog if you would. Be sure to check out the affiliate page. Check out the links below the blog, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again for stopping by. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.